Curse of Strahd, session 20. Ooh, 20 sessions deep. This was going to be a kind of a reset, relax session after all the craziness with going to see Strahd, the festival coming to close. I wanted to see where they were going to go. I, as a dungeon master in the dungeon master prep phase, prepped very little, if not the least I ever prepped for this session because I didn't know where they were going to go. So I don't want to, I prep things for the session in general, just for things I need to get done and different things I'm putting in the Dungeon Master binder. But I didn't know where they're going to go. So as usual, what this is, I give a breakdown from the Dungeon Master behind the scenes perspective, what was going to happen, and then shared what actually happened. All of this, including the Dungeon Master binder, I'm going to go over right now. As you can see here, is available on my Patreon. The live gameplays of these footage is all also available over there as well if you want to check that out. There's free trials available too. You can sign up for that. It's free. And it's just watch it, see if you like it, and we can go from there. Because I am prepping every single thing in all of Curse of Strahd. You can see in this whole thing, every single section, Argynvost Holt, the Ruins of Berez, Castle Ravenloft was a huge thing to take on. All of it's there, but if you look at the very big picture of the next session, this is where I prepare, the next session for. And I only prepared one real scene here, which was the scene with the Burgomaster. They had this big festival left off, and after the festival, the Burgomaster was like, come, let us talk now. And he brought them all over and kind of talk about some things. And this was the lot that he brought up to Felix's death, and did he really die, and what's going on with that. They handled that very well. He offered them a replacement to the group, and I added in a new replacement. This is not something in the normal Curse of Strahd bucket, but I felt this was appropriate, and he, with the group going from 5 down to 3 from the Burgomaster's perspective, because he thinks that Felix is dead, he's like, let's go ahead and add in another one. So I added in another illusion wizard that's disguising himself as an abjuration wizard, right? Shields and barriers and stuff that actually aren't shields and barriers. The players don't know about that yet. And he's a little spy for the Burgomaster. And I had him speak French, but then very limited speech. How, Joran and you? Like, I was just very, almost just learned English, like a French person that just learned English is kind of how his voice was. And the players really, really liked him just as a character. They maybe didn't want him to join their party because that obviously would be bad. But yeah, I played up that date with Pug. The Burgomaster wants to go on a date with Pug, the Paladin, and that was really fun to kind of amp up as well. And then during this, the Rogue was sneaking around in the shadows because the Rogue split off from the group, and the group was up on stage for the festival. Rogue sneaking in the audience, not wanting to be seen. And I had another little scene. So anytime as a Dungeon Master I have the party split, I try and run a scene for both simultaneously, because I don't want to run a scene for one group and be like, all right, so what do y'all want to do next? And this person was just out of the picture. So I always want to try and think of different things that they could both do to kind of keep everybody involved. So they had the Lady Vakter had her spy check in with the Rogue. So it was a little bit of espionage spy stuff going on. He turned down the contract with them. I planted a seed of a new adventuring group entering town. We'll see if they want to go bite on that. There's the whole new adventuring group and a little talking points for them if they ever encounter that adventuring group. And then that was really the only scene I had. And then I opened it up for him. I have a quest log for him that I keep updating in here. Festival of Lars, I can delete that now. So that's now gone. And then Kill Isaac for Lady Vakter. That is a quest that they now are going to other group. Is doing this. So this new adventuring group is now being tasked to kill Isaac, which is a whole other situation. They're not protecting Isaac. They're not doing anything with Isaac. Yikes. I don't know what's going to happen there. And then they have their other little quests that they're going on. So there's that. And then I have a just-in-case scenario is when the Burgomaster takes them over. When the Burgomaster kidnaps all of them and systematically tries to prison them, kidnap them, kill them, whatever, right? And this is my escape plan, well, my anti-escape, my kidnapping plan, really, for whenever that happens with them. So now it goes into what actually happened is we had the whole scene, and they ran off and did a couple of different things. Felix is getting a whole bunch of things in place. Felix the Rogue getting a whole bunch of things in place with his little hobo spy network. Lots of stuff's going on there. Lars and Irina had another really, really, really nice date. They are official now. now. I feel like I'm a high school gossip kid. They're like officially like Lars and Irina is Lars's girlfriend now. They've been around each other for about a month or so now, and he's been making consistent rolls towards it, and their relationship bonding. He's been saying most of spending downtime with her. It's been really cool to see him like really invest into their relationship. It's been really cool, and it makes a lot of sense why they're connected. Strahd has a vested interest in Lars because Lars secretly has Warlock pact levels with Strahd, and Irina is the main central focus of Strahd in as far as the campaign book goes. So they are very synced up in that way, and they share that bond. It's really cool. So anyway, and then the paladin and cleric are doing their thing as far as whether it be in the church or kind of helping and get armor and upgrading armors and going to the blacksmith. So they each were kind of doing their all little stuff. And then I closed for the day, and I was like, all right, top of the next day, what are you guys doing? And they kind of got a plan, like, where are we going? And that little quest log I just showed you that I have here, I read that off to them just to remind them and help them kind of remember the different things that they've accumulated of possible to-do lists. And they were going between two things. They were either going to go to the tower and check out to see what's going on there, which is the Van Richten plot line, it's the Esmeralda plot line, and it's the Rictavio plot line. I learned through my players talking, though, that my players have no idea that Rictavio is Van Richten. I really thought that they were putting that together, but they weren't, because they heard a rumor that Van Richten, the legendary vampire slayer, has a castle, a small tower to the northwest. And then Rictavio, whenever he left town, he's like, hey, like he didn't know they knew about the rumor. He didn't know anything about that. And whenever he left town to go run away from everybody to get the heck out of there, he's like, hey, I have a tower. There's a tower in the northwest. I'm going to go there. And they have not put that together yet, which then, hearing them talk about this out loud as the quiet dungeon master behind the screen, they're like, yeah, you know, he wanted us to meet up there, so maybe this is a good spot. We could try and see, you know, meet up with him. Maybe he could join our group. And then we could find, I was like, oh man, they really don't know that they're the same person. Okay, cool. And that's great news for me to know as a dungeon master, so that I can really make that reveal a big reveal instead of a more obvious reveal, right? So, super cool there. And I already know how they're going to encounter that, and that's a whole thing for another video, or another session, I guess. And then they also knew about the Vistani camp just on the outskirts of town. And I have planted multiple seeds that there is a strong presence of a relic there, because I gave my party a holy relic finding items that within a certain radius you're able to find holy relics. And I wanted to give this to them because I don't know how else they would be able to find certain magic relics. I think it's important. There were some things that worked on through the church. The Father Lucian at the church in Vallaki was able to kind of divine and try and find these types of things, and I think it was fitting. So they're able to kind of go find this. They figured out that there's some sort of relic in the Vistani camp. And it also had to do with the tarot card readings that matched up with that as well. So everything's kind of pointing them that there's something there. So on their way to the tower, they took a pit stop and checked in with the Vistani. And a really interesting scene went down. Super cool, where they walk up to the Vistani, figure out that there's a warrant out for them. The Vistani are looking for them because the last Vistani camp, they lit a tent on fire and escaped. So the Vistani, as a group of people, are looking for them, trying to get them, and they just walked right on up there, and they're like, "All right, well, we're gonna kidnap you now. Okay, great, thank you. We're gonna deliver you to Strahd. This is great." But I was wanting to really see if Lars would reveal his connection to Strahd. And they did a really good job of talking about how, like, oh yeah, like we have connections to Strahd, da 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 da. And they figured out, like, oh, this is a good thing. The Vistani serve Strahd. Oh yeah. And they're like, well, no, we're cool with Strahd. So then while they're doing this, Felix gets invisibility cast on him by his brother, the Bard. And Felix is now the rogue, walking around invisible. And he's looking around for the campsites. And oh my gosh, does he find the treasure wagon. He asked about all the wagons, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to say some sort of global perception, because you're not going to be walking around in a circle, because you don't have the time to do that. You're walking up here. This is happening now. do you want to take the time to do a lap around and check all the wagons, or how are you doing this? He's like, oh no, I guess I'm going to go to the main tent. So he says he wants to go to the main tent. I said, okay, but careful now. I want you to move your mini exactly on the map that's in front of you, how you're moving to the camp. And he did it, and I crap you not, he ran right behind the wagon, which is the only wagon of like the 10 wagons in a circle. It's the only wagon that has a double padlock lock on it that is more obvious, and all the windows are barred, is the treasure wagon. And as he walks by it, he clocks that there is a double padlock lock, and this is the vault of wagons. And he just happened to run his mini right behind, between the gaps. There's like wagons in a circle all the way around it. He ran it just between the exact one where he would have been able to find it. So he finds the treasure wagon, starts to go in there. He has to get 2 DC 20 lock picking checks to be able to get in there, and then it's a bunch of chains all woven through a door. So he has to be. So during this, I'm going back and forth again between the group and the rogue, the group and the rogue. This has become a theme in this campaign of the conversation the group's having. Rogue, make a check. Conversation the group's having. Rogue, make a check. And I keep going back and forth on that. To kind of see how things go. And for a long time, the rogue was waiting for somebody to make some sort of noise distraction to be able to move and get in there. But nobody was doing anything. Everybody was kind of talking, and they were kind of just trying to not get arrested, or not get, I guess Vistani wouldn't arrest, but not get imprisoned. And it was really interesting. So then they were able to talk and stall long enough for Felix, the rogue, to get around and kind of find a couple of things. He didn't really know. He grabbed a bunch of boxes, one of which had the artifact in there, the Sun Sword, one of the 3 main items, relics, artifacts, whatever you're going to call them, for Curse of Strahd. The Sun Sword is one of them. He found the hilt of the Sun Sword, not the full Sun Sword. I have homebrewed it to where it's not the full hilt. It's a whole other topic though. He has the hilt on him, and he's still looking around for it because he hasn't opened up the boxes. He just grabbed a bunch of boxes, and now he's like looking for other stuff. He's still not finding it. He's like, all right, I'm getting out of here. And so they go to get out of here, and they start to leave, and they have a ton of really great checks and really great conversations. They found the trigger of the NPC that they were talking with, Arugal. Arugal is the leader of the Vistani, him and his brother. He's the leader right now, and he is like a Strahd fanboy, and they tapped into his jealousy of the group talking about how closely connected they are to Strahd. One of the triggers I had for this NPC, I give all of my key NPCs like this, a trigger, is jealousy towards Strahd, and like really wanting to be a part of Strahd. And they kept tapping on that they were part of Strahd. What, you're not? Wait, he doesn't do this with you? You haven't gone and had dinner with Strahd? We just had dinner with Strahd. What? And so it was really interesting to see them play up on that. But somehow, through great role play, great checks, great decisions, great sneaking of a split party with a group and distractions, and it's just so well done by the group. They went into the Vistani camp, left the Vistani camp with 600 gold, which is a lot. The magic item and a couple of other things in the boxes that they found, some of which are bad, some of which are good. But yeah, there's the rundown of how that whole Vistani thing went. And at the end of the session, I had them open the box, and they revealed that they found the hilt of the Sun Sword, and that's where we ended the session. So now we're going to pick up on this next session. I'm imagining in my head now towards my Dungeon Master prep. I'm going to really make sure I know what's going on at the tower of the Van Richten's tower, because they're probably going there next. And then they're also said that they're going to go to Kresk. So now I have to go prep Kresk. And I've also said there's a magic item shop in Kresk, so I got to put a magic item shop there. So yeah, there's the rundown there. I got a couple of other notes from notes I make during the session. But there's the whole rundown. We'll see what happens next time. Stay tuned, stay creative. Take us in the box.